I'm going to give you the 5 biggest mistakes I see most businesses making with their websites that's preventing them from ranking 1 on Google. Now, many of these are just simple fundamentals. They're not shiny objects. And yet the vast majority of clients who come to me, they are missing one of these somewhere. And that's good news because they're generally a very easy fix with big results. Now, you might have noticed me being quiet lately. That's because after 300 YouTube videos, I was in need of a bit of a break, but I've also been seriously upgrading my team. And because of all these videos, I get so many requests every week for one-on-one consulting calls. Just the odd 20 minutes, half an hour here and there. But the fact is, if I said yes to all of these, then I definitely wouldn't be producing any more YouTube videos. And with the leverage that I have through my various businesses, I would have to charge thousands to make those worthwhile for me. But all of that has now changed because I've recruited an A-player team of SEO experts and upgraded them even further. And so now our consulting calls are back open. So if you're feeling stuck on Google, then this really is for you. Now, we really should be charging thousands for these because they are a proper deep dive into your website. But for the time being, I want my team to get some more wins under their belt. So if you think you could be a good fit, then click the link below, fill in the form, and apply for one of our strategy calls. And then you'll be able to see if you're missing any of these key fundamentals, some of which I'm going to be talking today. Now, I'm just going to audit live with some of my findings. And trust me, every client that comes to me, this is all how it starts. There's normally a few things they're missing out on. So let's go with Roofer Indianapolis. Roofing is a fantastic niche for SEO. Obviously, new roofs are expensive, but you're not exactly going to say no. And also you need it now if your roof is leaking. So pretty special in terms of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. They're not necessarily going to go away and think about it. Now, we're not going to be talking about the map pack today, but I do have loads of other videos on that. What I actually want to pay attention to first is actually this word count feature using the Ahrefs Chrome extension. Now, years ago, there was this belief that word count was a ranking factor. So people were just churning out the longest pages they could in order to try and please Google. Now, that's not strictly true. Correlation does not equal causation, but word count does have some significance. Because Google, as a big machine, trying to rank millions of web pages and assess them for quality, it's got to do that efficiently. So it doesn't actually read the text on your page as such, but it uses what's called its knowledge graph, which is basically all the related entities and NLPs, the kind of things that really go into a topic. So something like roofing, its materials, price, all those different questions you might ask. It's basically looking for those key phrases and how many times they're repeated and assigning a number to each one. And those then go into a database. This is what's called vectors. And so basically for Google to be able to amalgamate all this data across millions of web pages, it's just looking at a few numbers assigned to each web page in order to assess quality. So if you don't have the right phrases on your page, the right number of times, then your score's going to be off and you're not going to rank. It's as simple as that. So there's no point looking in the top 10 here because obviously they're doing something right. So we want to go down. Let's look at the sort of 20s to 30s. And we can see here, Amos exteriors, everyone else has got around 1,500, 2,000, 3,000 words. And that's pretty normal across most niches. That's really what you should be aiming for. But Amos exteriors has only got 971. So if we open that, we can see very nice website, good lead form. Everything here looks good, but they're not really talking about much. And it's quite difficult to get your head around. You might think this tells you all you need to know if you're just getting a new roof. But actually, if we go through competitors, we can find they've been a lot more extensive and comprehensive. Let's go back and find another site like this. We've got stormwarriorroof.com down at position 30, and again, 930 words. So again, beautiful modern website here, and a good lead form, but there's really not a lot of stuff on the page talking to you about what they actually do and how they work. So the easiest way to do this, just go through your competitors. If you really want to be detailed, copy each competitor's page for that keyword, put it into ChatGPT, and ask ChatGPT to extract the relevant NLPs and entities and the number of times each are used. And from that, you should be able to come up with a good ballpark of where your page should be. But there's also tools like Surfer that do that automatically. They look at the top 10 in Google and work out exactly what Google is rewarding. So here we can see content score of just 26. So no wonder it's not ranking well. So you can see they've used a lot of the main phrases well. So we've got roof repairs, roofing services, roofing company, but they've not mentioned commercial roofing. And if we scroll through some of these as we go down, we've got local contractor, gutter cleaning, aging roof, free estimates, high quality materials. All of these are what Google is basically looking for in terms of how comprehensive is this page. And then we can see the content length recommendation. Surf is actually saying they've only got 200 words in the actual paragraph text, whereas the recommended is 2,000 to 6,000. That has been inflated by one outlier, but generally around 1,500, 2,000 words should be good. So it's not about the length, it's about making sure you've covered everything within that length. And then you can see there's plenty more that can be doing here as well. Things like the right keyword in the title, things like that. So this is something that's so simple, and if you just improve your content like this, you can get an instant rankings boost. Now here's a more unusual one I also wanted to mention, and that is the Facebook pixel. So using the Meta Pixel Helper Chrome extension, we can see no pixel found on stormwarriorroof.com. Now you might think, why is a Facebook pixel relevant to SEO? Well, there's two reasons. If you're in SEO, then you're into the marketing game and crucially the sales game. And therefore it's not just about SEO, it's whatever it takes to get those sales. So don't ignore paid ads. Now the chances are with something like roofing, that works really well with SEO because people need it now and they Google for it. Whereas the chances are seeing Facebook ads, they're probably not going to be in the market for a new roof right there. So I'm not advising spending a lot on Facebook ads in this case. But what I do highly recommend is retargeting. And you do that through the Facebook pixel, so that everyone who lands on your site then gets followed and gets delivered your ads over time. And this is actually really cheap and really powerful. Even just $20 a day is really all you need most of the time. And if you set up your ads correctly, then you can have a number of creatives and an impression cap on each one, which means each person will actually see a different ad every time they log in. So one day it might just be your brand name, the next day it might be your reviews, the day after that it could be a video of you talking about roofing. Now normally we talk about return on ad spend, ROAS, if you put this much in, how much do you get out? Now generally I don't find retargeted ads necessarily convert directly depending on the niche, but what they're incredibly good for is brand recall and keeping you top of mind so that when someone needs you, you're then the first person they think about. You're basically a household name to them. This is the modern age of marketing. It's less about the big mainstream and it's much more about concentrating on individual users. And with retargeting ads, it's very easy to make individual people think you in particular are a household name, a celebrity. I've experienced this myself. But more importantly for our purposes, the best thing about paid ads like this is dwell time and engagement, because Google actually monitors how people interact with your website. And this has been proven in multiple Google leaks. But the fact is, Google doesn't really care where that traffic actually comes from. So actually, if you're getting traffic from ads, then that can reflect in your overall page and user experience score, which therefore means that you rank higher on Google, because Google can see people are enjoying interacting with your website. They're scrolling through, they're clicking, and they're spending a lot of time there. So if you can do that with just $20 a day in retargeting ads that also turn you into a household name, then why wouldn't you do that? Now, next we're talking about backlinks. This is each time another website links to you. And Google's original algorithm is all about assessing how many other websites link to you, because each of those links is like a little vote of confidence that says this site should rank higher up. And even today, it's still a very clear correlation. So if we just go up to the top 3, we can see this tool Ahrefs will basically provide a score for the quantity and quality of your backlinks out of 100 called domain rating. So that's how powerful your domain is based on your backlinks. So the number 1 result is a 55. The number 2 result is a 28. We'll ignore Reddit for now. Yelp is obviously very powerful, 95. And then we've got a 46. We've got a 31. You often get a few outliers that are able to break through with a 10 or a 20. And this is always good news. It tells us you don't have to be a massive 60, 70, 80 site. So even though roofing is incredibly valuable, it's not massively competitive based on backlink profiles. But if we go back down to where we were, we can see a lot of people lost down at position 35 with a domain rating of 5. Even got a domain rating of 0 here, 13, 17. So you can already kind of get an idea of the correlation. So what do those links actually look like? Well, if we look at referring domains, supposedly 66 websites are linking to this website with a domain rating of 13. So if we open that, now what you'll find is every website on the internet gets hit with lots of links from crawlers, directories, and not all of them have a whole lot of impact on your site. So we use a filter called best links that only highlights the powerful links. These are in-content links from blogs, news sites that are more like those recommendations we actually talked about. So overall, they've got 65 websites pointing at them. But if we filter that down to best links, then we have 0. And that's why they're so far down. So that was just one I picked at random. If we go back up to the top, let's have a look at the number 1 result. Domain rating of 55. How have they got that? Supposedly, they've got 1,300 backlinks pointing at them. In this case, now it says 870. So again, let's look at how many of those are actually high quality. So this is a filter we've set. where basically we're looking at backlinks that themselves have quite a high domain rating. You want your links to have lots of backlinks themselves to make them more powerful. So you want the links to have lots of links, you want them to have some traffic, and there's a couple of other factors that go into there as well. Make sure they do follow, which basically means that Google is actually rewarding that link rather than ignoring it. So if we filter that, how quickly does 870 come down? It comes down to 14. So that's actually great news, because it tells us that even though they're ranking 1 and they do have a lot more links than most of the competition, it's not actually taken them that many links to actually get there and get that high domain rating of 55. If we look at how much traffic they're getting 3,400 visitors a month for Indianapolis roof services. So if we assumed just 1% of those visitors actually bought, so if we take just 34 jobs per month, because remember this is a monthly traffic estimate, so if they only get 34 jobs a month, and if the average job is say $10,000, then that's $340,000 per month. Realistically, we're probably looking at more like a 5 to 10% conversion rate. So if we take the 10%, that's 340 times $10,000, then we're up to 3.4 million per month. So if the difference between ranking 1 and ranking 30 is just 20 backlinks or so, then make sure you get those backlinks. That means reaching out to other websites and negotiating with them to try and get those placements. Let's look at the number 2 result just to be sure. That's a domain rating of 28. That's saying 605 referring domains. Now it says 265 domains. Let's turn on best links. How many of those are good quality? It is 36. And we can see some of these are new. They've only just been placed. So the reason they're number 2 is we can see they're actively going out and building new links all the time. In fact, we can see when these were first picked up by the tool. And most of them, we can see 2024, 2025. So this is a business that's doing active link building right now because they understand the value. Let's look at that value again. For this one, they're also getting around 3,200 visitors per month. So again, if 20% signed up, or let's just say 10%, 320 jobs per month. Let's make that $10,000 per job. And again, $3.2 million per month. Have I got that right? Is the decimal point in the right place? Yes, it is. So that really is the magic of SEO. Remember, if you need a new roof, you're not going on to ChatGPT, you're not going on to ads, you're going on to Google and you're looking for a roofer near me, a roofer in my location right now. I'm not going to go away and think about it, because if it rains, then my property is going to lose value and get damaged. Now, there's just one other hidden detail I wanted that, again, many business owners miss, and that's basically page speed. That you'll obsess over building this really beautiful graphical website, but depending on how many bells and whistles you've got, this can actually seriously affect the load time. Especially if you've got chat windows and things like that typically load via JavaScript, that can really slow down your website. So in order to check, just go to pagespeed.web.dev, put in your website, make sure if you're looking to rank the inner page, then put that actual page into PageSpeed Insights. I've seen so many businesses saying our page speed is fine, but that's because they keep on putting in the homepage, and the homepage has got very little on it, whereas the actual inner pages with all the details on it, they're actually really slow and therefore not ranking. Now, there's some debate as to just how much page speed is a ranking factor for Google, but the point is, remember, Google's looking at user experience. So if loads of people are clicking the back button, maybe they've got slow internet, maybe they're on 3G phones, whatever. There's loads of reasons this is worth paying attention to. Now, I don't stress too much about it. So this is a 69, that's pretty good. It's not in the green, but it's not terrible. So I'm not actually too worried about that. So I wouldn't obsess over getting that into the green. But if you did want to go further, then there's recommendations down here. Now normally, again, it's 80-20. There's normally some really simple stuff like images. Because if you take a photograph can be something like 5 megabytes if it's high quality. Whereas on your website, it only really needs to be 50 KB. So resize them, use compression with something like Tiny JPEG, Tiny Panda. Make sure they are JPEGs or PNGs. I mean WebPs, not PNGs, rather than really big PNG files. Really simple stuff. Just Google convert PNG to JPEG and then compress JPEG. That's all really simple stuff. And if you are using lots of these trackers and analytics, heat mapping software, chat windows down as well. So this one's not actually too bad, but then I went and found another example. Now, this looks like quite a simple website. It doesn't seem like it's got too many heavy graphical elements. However, if we take a look now, let's put it in there. We see Core Web Vitals assessment failed. These metrics don't actually look too bad, but let's wait for the overall score to come up. And there we go, it's 47 in the red. So that's probably where I would actually intervene. If you're not ranking, then why not? It could be page speed. And if we come down here, again, we can diagnose what's actually going on. So there we go, JavaScript execution time. I said JavaScript can be an issue. So we've got various analytics there, third-party code. There we go, Crazy Egg, that's heat mapping software, OmniConvert. So obviously bear that in mind. Most of the websites I build are just really simple text and a couple of images on a page, and that's it. You don't want to overcomplicate it. After all, most people are looking on mobiles anyway. So that's everything for now, but that really is just the tip of the iceberg. YouTube only really rewards me if I talk for 5 to 10 minutes and not more than that. But honestly, there's so much low-hanging fruit out there. The vast majority of even really big corporate clients who come to me, they're still failing on some of these really simple things. And as soon as we fix that, everything changes, and they can be one of those websites generating millions in revenue every month. And it can be as simple as a difference of ranking at number 20 versus ranking number 1. It could be backlinks, it could be page speed, it could be content, but it all comes down to these fundamentals. So click the link below, apply for one of our strategy calls, and we can see if you're being held back by, again, one of these really simple fixes that could completely transform your business in just a matter of weeks.